Nightly Musers, followers of the pod, faithful few and hopeful many, this is Anchor by Spotify. If you haven't heard about it, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's the very platform that allows me to give you what I give you on the nightly. So let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And it gives you the ability to distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so much more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally FREE free. So here's where you come in. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is ANCHOR.fm to get started. Thank you very much. Peace. Nightly Musers, welcome. It is late as usual, and honestly, I love this. I thought I would, not that I thought I would hate it, but I definitely thought it would be more difficult than I expected. The only difficulty is I'm committing to do something that airs at night, which means I also have to, it's easiest to record at night. It's harder to do it during the day, but you just kind of have to get it where you can fit it. And it takes work, but everything takes work, right? I also kind of love that that I just be out here singing stuff. I don't know if that's allowed, but Switchfoot, love them. Any Narnia fans out there? I think it was Prince Caspian, the Disney movie. This song called "This Is Home." Chorus: "This is home. Now I'm finally where I belong, where I belong. Oh, this is home. I've been searching for a place of my own. Now I've found it. Maybe this is home." It's either maybe or baby. Baby, this is home. And now, after all my questions, after all my searching, they call it home. What was it? After all my searching, after all my questions, I'm gonna call it home. And I've got a brand new mindset. I can finally see the sunset. And I'm gonna call it home. What a song. If you listen to this and follow me on IG on my personal, I've been I'm contemplating just putting all of my stuff on my personal, because running 2 Instagrams is hard. It's hard enough to promote myself on one, and trying to do it double time is very difficult. This song is where I'm at right now when I think about life, career, placement. I have been looking, my podcast that I do with Teve, Life in Between, Teve does a good job of expressing what it feels like to be a third culture kid. We talk about the joys of that, and we also talk about the difficulties. And one of the things that he says is you can feel homeless emotionally, mentally, physically. Like, you can feel culturally homeless because you don't quite fit anywhere. It's not like a self-centered, I'm just different. No, it's like it's a self-awareness of I'm African, but I wasn't born there. In my case, in his case, he was, and I was born in Africa, but I wasn't raised there. I am growing up in a minority like system, right? I am the minority, but I don't fully connect with the traditional African American, and I mean by definition of being here through the trans American slave trade, right? Like there isn't. I didn't get here. My ancestry isn't tied to that part of history. And that's not to say like, I mean, that's just the facts. So there's a bit of cultural gaps there. I don't fully fit in with the Black community of America. I don't fully fit in with Africans, and I sure as heck don't fit in with white people because I ain't white. So and then from the American African, I'm living in America, but I'm being raised in an African household with an African framework and ethic, and you can feel like nothing fully fits. And so the reason I bring that up and I force you guys to listen to me sing stuff and that, and I've learned through, I think I told y'all in a couple episodes previous that I've been recording with the band that I'm a part of through the church, and I've learned through listening back to myself, really it's in the moment when I have those headphones on. I had to take one of the headphones on, like one of the ears, one of the, I'm like, I had to pull one side of it off my ear, because when I sing, apparently I tend to be a little flat, and it is very noticeable when I sing with other people that, in this case, sometimes tend to be a little sharp, how flat I am. Perfection is hard to achieve. And so it's just funny. I'm like, hey, for people who hear me sing, maybe they can tell him he's a little flat, and that's fine. But my life, one, shout out Lowfly, but the feeling of being homeless, right? That feeling of not fully fitting in, like that's part of my life. I went to a public school, then I went to an inner city school where I had to be with predominantly African American kids. And then I went to a white school, and in none of those spaces did I fully fit in. There was always a common denominator that made me feel like a part of the crowd, but there were also lots of spaces where I felt othered. And that's life. I think we all have those spaces where we feel othered, even white people. And that's okay. But take you to the college days. I lived on campus at UNC Charlotte for 2 years. Lynch Hall, interesting name, probably a last name. And Belk Hall. What was it? I think it was Lynch 240, and I don't remember what my Belk Hall was, but I remember my roommates and suite mates. It was a great time. So shout out y'all. But after that, so my freshman year, I was on campus. I started coaching at Charlotte Christian. I started coaching at my old high school. And that kind of began the spreading thin of your host, Tinayeshe. Really, it started in high school. I was always, the phrase jack of all trades, master of none. I did a lot and it was fun. I don't consider myself somebody who peaked in high school, but I made the most of the time that I had there. And I think I used that part of my life to try to figure out who I was, because I wasn't the person who immediately knew who he wanted to be. I didn't have dreams about my future. The first dream I ever had was at that Hillsong concert, and I said I want to do that, and there were some obstacles that made me feel inadequate. But other than that, I dreamed about being in the NBA because I loved basketball and I loved Kobe, rest in peace. But I was short and chubby, so I either had to become a skinny point guard or I had to become a tall post player, and neither of those things happened. And my height didn't really help me in terms of football. I was good at it, but there's certain physical attributes that get you recruited, and I didn't always have those things. I was realistic, but I didn't know where I was going. So freshman year, I start coaching at my old high school, coaching track. Then I picked up football the next year, and that next fall, really. So my sophomore year, I'm coaching middle school football, and then I think it was track, middle school football, then track, middle school football, wrestling, and track. And then that's my junior year. I think I did that rotation again, 2019. Then going into the student teaching came in. But anyway, the point of this story is to say that I started commuting. And so my life literally just started ping-ponging back and forth between Charlotte and North Charlotte or West Charlotte or whatever. I live in West Charlotte. So, I guess what is UNC East? Or is it North? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going from South Charlotte to UNC Charlotte all the time. I started helping out leading in Davidson at a worship night, which is a crazy story that I'll tell one day. I might tell it in this episode, depending on context. But my life just was ping-ponging all over the place. In high school, I did a lot of stuff, but it was localized, right? I didn't feel pulled in so many directions, except for when I did a play that also took place during track season, and that was a mess. My goodness. Socially a mess. A lot of fun. I don't regret it, but it made life really hard. And so I was used to doing a lot of things, but I was also actively trying to consolidate my life. But life was pulling me, and I was getting opportunities, and I wasn't really good at saying no, and I didn't really want to. And so I just kind of took what I got, and I got really good at splitting my life all over the place until I got in a car accident that made things kind of difficult. But Ray, my big sister, made life easy because she would let me use her car every now and then. So I became a professional I don't even know. I was just everywhere, and I was torn, and it was hard. I felt displaced, and when the church that I grew up in stopped meeting, and college stopped feeling like a place that I could get community because I didn't live on campus, I was constantly looking for a home. My parents moved back to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe. My goodness, why am I saying it like that? And home, the concept of home, I stayed in town, right? for college, and home left, right? My parents, my support system was no longer there. So that concept was a weird thing for me. And then I got a job in Davidson. I interned at a church twice. Then I became a resident in 2020, COVID year, fun times, and I became a full-time employee last September, which is also the month that I was born. Not that month, obviously, but the month of September in 1998. It was a good year, but I missed just by a few months Michael Jordan's last championship. It's unfortunate. Anyway, in the midst of that process was a lot of stress and a lot of questions and a lot of confusion because I was trying to figure out. I think because I was so spread out in college and so displaced, I was looking for, I say settle down, not in the sense of like get married, all that stuff, like based on my story. And if you know me, you're gonna be like BS, whatever. No, I truly, I mean, like I was trying to be rooted somewhere. Because home felt like a foreign concept, whether it was finding a church that felt like home, like the home church that I grew up in and adored because of the experiences that I had and the things that I was able to do that God allowed me to do to make church feel like home. College didn't feel like college anymore. My high school was starting to, I graduated and so it's a different dynamic, but I'm trying to like relearn that relationship because I wasn't gone enough to really feel like I left. And so everything just feels a little off. And now it's time for me to step into the job world and luckily through the internship and the residencies, shout out Super Summer Staff. That was my first year internship. We were Super Summer Staff. It was a squadron. Connor, Casey, Sadie. Connor, Casey, Sadie, myself. Crap, there was one more. There was 5 of us, wasn't there? Man, this is going to be really bad if they're listening to the episode. Super Summer Staff, who was the 5th? There was 5 of us. Casey, Sadie, no, it was not. Casey, Sadie, Connor, me, oh, this is not good. I'm blanking. And I'm not sure if I can edit this out without seeming fake. Gee willikers, I have no idea. No, that was pre-Gray. Was it just the 4 of us? Casey, Sadie, Connor, me. Huh. Man, I feel like there was 5 of us and I'm really dropping the bag. Oh, man. Oh no. Well, this is awkward, and I'm gonna have to. Well, this is hilarious. I don't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure there was 5 of us, and if there was only 4, then this is great because then I don't feel as bad. But there's no way there was only one girl. Good evening. After the fabulous investigative work that I did on my own end, I was able to figure out / recall / ask several people who were there during the 2018 Super Summer Staff era. Amy was the other resident. I knew Sadie was not alone. It was me, Casey, Connor, Sadie, Amy, and that's it. The Super Summer Staff. What a squad. Amy, you were in high school at the time, and if you're listening to this, apologies, because my memory of when you were an intern and when you weren't is just kind of muddy because you've been there forever, and this is a major code blue. That's an inside joke for y'all. So, back to your regularly scheduled nightly program. Wow. Well, I feel like I just wasted like 10 minutes, but we, through those things, got to live with host families, which was really nice. And so 2020 felt like, I was super rooted in Davidson because I lived there and I was working there and I was coaching there, and it was great. And then when I got the job, I got another gig to coach at my old high school and middle school. And I kind of put myself, though it felt like a door that got opened, I'm not sure anymore, but not because it went poorly, but just because it forced me back into this position where I felt torn between Charlotte and Davidson. Job opportunities, it was similar. I'm fighting, what I know, Charlotte, and what I don't know, Davidson. And Davidson, I love it. I love the people, but it's never felt like home. The people of Davidson are what, I say this, and if you go to the church, then I'm sorry, but my church is very different. And if you go there, you know what I mean. It's a beautiful thing, and it creates a sweet space for the people that we serve. But honestly, the things that make our church different from other churches really isn't what drew me there. What drew me there was the people. It very much felt like I didn't choose Davidson. Davidson chose me, and that was a thought that terrified me because it was the truth. It's not my personality. I don't feel like I'm the typical Davidson person. I don't really feel like I fit in with the town. There's not a lot of people like me, and that's okay. But for somebody who's been othered a lot their whole lives, I'm looking for a place where I fit. And I was just agonizing over this decision of where am I going to live and how is this? I just want to feel like I'm at home. And if it's Charlotte, great, because that's what I know. And if it's Davidson, God, make it make sense. And I put myself back in the situation where I was torn between Charlotte. I live in West Charlotte. I coach in South Charlotte, and I'm working in Davidson. And so I picked a house that was 24 minutes from both because I had to make sense of my situation. And it just turned into a ping pong, and it made life exhausting. And the point of this episode is not to just complain about life, but to say that what I'm learning now, to try and keep this as, I can't call it concise because we're already at 24 minutes. I'm sure I'm going to be able to edit it down. So in post-production, it'll be a little shorter, but right now, I've been learning to be honest with God about my prayers and to be real and just say, like, okay, God, this is where you've placed me. And before I go there, I remember sharing this with a friend. I felt like there's this encounter or moment that Jesus has with one of his disciples. It is John 21 between Jesus and Peter. Now, Peter has just denied Jesus 3 times. The disciples have all fled, and Jesus is now resurrected, and he's appeared to the disciples, and he's with Peter. And Simon Peter. And he has a moment. And Jesus says to Peter, I'm reading from Scripture, John 21, starting at verse 15. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my lambs. Again, Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you truly love me? He answered, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. The 3rd time, he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the 3rd time. Do you love me? He said. Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. And Jesus said, feed my sheep. And so, I'm not saying that this is what Jesus said to me, but I was caught up in all of the stress of where am I going to go? What is the job? What am I going to do? Where am I supposed to be? What is the God-honoring thing to do? Because I'm trying to make the right choice, but I'm also trying to go where he's leading me. And in all of the stress, the best way to put it, I struggle to say that I heard God say, but it felt like I was constantly being asked, Kennedy, do you believe that God is God enough to redeem whatever choice you make? Do you believe that God knows how stressed out you are right now? And in the answer of that, in the realities and the honesty of the moment of, yes, you are stressed, Kennedy. That is okay. You are stressed out and you're trying to figure out the right thing to do. But you've still been tasked. With the responsibility of leading a congregation in worship, because the worship director's on sabbatical, and that's your job right now. There are people who need to be led. Don't neglect them in an effort to figure out what you want to be and who you want to be and what you feel called to do. Don't get so stressed out about that you forget the people I've called you to right now. And so, in that moment of conviction and clarity, it helped me. It didn't make me any less stressed, but it reminded me of what my purpose was. And now, I've just been learning to take what God gives me. And so I've been praying, Jesus, if it's Davidson, I'll adjust. And if it's Charlotte, great, that's what I'm used to. But God, just Open the doors that'll show me where I'm supposed to go, because God, I'm tired of being so spread thin and doing this ping pong between cities. And Lord, gas is so expensive, so you either need to drop those prices or make this make sense, because I'm tired. And God has started opening doors and just showing me what the next step is. I think I often want God to give me the whole blueprint, and I'm thankful he hasn't, because my mind that I stay in, that I overthink in, would probably explode. But he shows me the next step. Doesn't mean he shows me that immediately, but in my honesty and in my prayers, I believe that he hears them. And I'm starting to learn that though I'm still trying to make sense of what home truly is, that the one place that I really do have home in is in his arms. In Jesus, in God, the Father, in Jesus, the Redeemer, the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, the Trinity. In God, I do have home. The place where I belong, because I am his, because I am made in his image, because I am his child. I have home. And after all my questions, after all my searching, I can call him home. With the new perspective, with the new mindset, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can see that sunset, and I can call it home. So that's today's episode. I am just here to tell you, to encourage you, if you feel spread thin, if you feel displaced, if you feel like you just don't fit, trust that there's somebody that hears you, and there's somebody who's walking through that right now. And sometimes you can tire yourself out trying to find the entire answer to the whole test, to the whole equation of life. And you can wear yourself out. And sometimes you just need to relax, take a breath, and take the next faithful step. Be patient and trust that as you continue to take those faithful steps in the right direction, that God will lead you where you need to go. And you'll find home in his arms. All right, peace. Thank you. Shout out, Low Fly. This is the